recording and things like that, just to preserve it as it was when John Lennon worked here, when it was the record plant. We use this for an archive transfer room. This is Matt Calabuzzo. He's another senior engineer here. And behind him over here is Michael Brooks and Mark Kirkaby. They are independent producers who are very knowledgeable in the Sony catalog. So what they essentially do in here is they come in and they either transfer tapes that are in jeopardy of something not being able to play back again, or they identify music that's in, say, a case with no label on it. They identify who it is and when the recording was from, and they'll update the Sony library. They'll digitize everything that they touch, if they can. And, little by little, they, have been doing this for 15 or so years, trying to...
Dog years.
And there's still, that's only a small, they're just scratching at the surface of what is in the library to deal with. But in this room, we do, Matt has the capability to play back. This was the turntable. That is a turntable that I was talking about. Matt does a better description of it for me, but essentially there was 4 of them built?
Yes, 4 built.
There was 4 built in the world. We have 2, one for parts, one to actually use. The Sultan of Brunei has one to play back his records. And then I don't know what happened to the 4th one.
Third one, we had 3 initially.
Oh, okay.
And then one of which we sold to Columbia University. So now we have 2.
Okay.
This one had 1 for parts. So yeah, the Sultan of Brunei had one.
The Sultan was overthrown and they broke his record.
They broke his record player.
Terrible.
And so he bought this one.
No,
he
not,
broke that
he's
one.
He's not with us anymore.
Okay.
He's a deceased Sultan.
I see.
And when he was overthrown, the rebels, when the Sultan got this thing, because he heard it existed, he bought it. It was shipped out to Singapore, where it was flown to Singapore, offloaded on a dock, put on a ship, and taken to Brunei, which is in a corner of Borneo. And it was assembled by the engineer who built it on the spot for him. And the Sultan was very excited. He was so excited that he decided he needed to have some records. So he sent somebody else out and got like 100,000 records.
And basically, the purpose of it is, it's about 800 pounds, right? And these are 2 pieces of granite, and all the they designed it so that everything runs on air, basically. And the reason for that is so that you have the least amount of mechanical input, so to speak, in the transfer that you're making. So in other words, you don't have any delay from the arm moving slower than it should, maybe, things like that, right? Is that a good way?
Yeah, no vibrations interacting with the vibration of the needle wiggling in the groove. So you isolate it from the outside world, and you isolate the needle from any of the mechanical processes of the turntable actually operating.
So that's one of the things that Matt has in here. And if you look around the room, like for example here's a 2-inch machine, 2-inch 24-track. We don't have it up here right now, but we have a 32-track digital machine, which was used for a small period of time. We also have a 48-track digital machine. I don't know if anybody's ever seen one of those or have worked with it. That was basically the progression from analog multi-track recording. We can play 16-track, we can play 8-track. Matt has machines back here that can also play metal parts, which were some of the very early recordings that were done. Again, there's lacquers, what else am I missing? There's 2-track, there's quarter-inch 2-track, there's
3 and 4 back in the corner there.
3-track, 4-track. And this is basically what we have here. We also have an array of software on different computers to play back earlier digital workstation material. So that's really...
You want to see a metal part?
Sure.
Can you just, excuse me, sir.
Want that one?
All right. This is kind of an extreme example. Company has probably a couple of 100,000 of these, one size or another. I got. Anybody with 2 hands want to feel how heavy this is? 2 hands. All right. This is a nickel copper plate. This is the surviving master image of something that was cut in wax. When you cut the wax, there's an actual stylus cutting in a cake of wax, and then you electroplate that against something that becomes this. This is a negative image, meaning it doesn't have grooves, it has ridges. And this writing, which somebody actually wrote in the wax around the outside of the disc, is a negative image. To read it, you'd have to hold it up to a mirror, but because we already looked, I'll tell you that it's, this is a private recording that was made by the boxer Jack Johnson. He was the first African-American heavyweight champion, and this is him narrating the fight where he won the championship. It was this is one plate of a 3-disc set, and it was made for him, and they sold the copies at his subsequent fights, the way you can go to a concert and buy a t-shirt or somebody's CDs or whatever. This is the only one of this that survives. The other two, there's one at Yale, and there's one at the Library of Congress in Washington. And we got it. So.
One other thing I wanted to mention is this room was a mixed room, so this would have been the control room, obviously. Through there, what we covered it actually is the glass that you would to see into the vocal booth. And so kind of when we walk out, you just take a look into that room. That room is now used for transfers and mastering and Pro Tools edits and anything you can imagine. And again, another full-time engineer in there who does an array of different stuff for us. And here too, we have a unique situation here because we are owned by Sony. We have all staff engineers here. They basically work, 9 to 5, 10 to 6. There's not many gigs like this here in the country, probably. This is, a pretty good gig. It's and this, besides Matt's doing mostly archive stuff, the other engineers, transfers and things like that. The other engineers are doing mastering and transferring, and we also do file verification, which is something to think about. File verification is when somebody's done recording a record. In today's day and age, back in the day, you used to say, okay, here are all my multi-track tapes. I'm going to send them to the record company. I'm going to get my check. Well, today, because they're sending a hard drive with all these Pro Tools sessions on them, the record companies don't know if they've actually delivered what they were supposed to deliver. So what they do is they send it to a studio like us, and we actually open up the drive, and we check that all the final versions, the mixes, different versions of mixes, mastered versions, match what the producer sends, the multi-track, so that the multi-track that's sent to, say, Pro Tools, for example, can actually create the mix that you're listening to as the final mix, so that they're not missing anything, And then once we do that, they get paid. It's a big business for the company because it's the only way that they'll actually, in some record companies, not everybody, but it's the only way that they will actually pay a producer is if they can deliver a complete multi-track, complete sessions. So it's an interesting offshoot for engineers and recording studios and us, for example, mastering studios, to have the ability to do that and have somebody who's skilled at doing that. I think that's it. Any other questions?
Everybody give Donna a round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.